Hi, I am Nick Shell, a certified Enneagram coach. I want to recommend this book. That's what inspired this particular video, The Honest Enneagram by Sarah Jane Case. You can check that out. There's a link right there, takes you to Amazon. Also, if you want to become certified like I am for Enneagram, 4 of my viewers so far have done that by clicking that link. There's a link for that as well. And then lastly, let's keep it simple. If you don't even know what your Enneagram is, or you're saying, what is Enneagram? Well, there's a link for that too. It takes about 10 minutes. It's a free test on Cloverleaf that you can check out. Now, let's get to it. I don't like being part of a crowd. I don't like crowds. I don't like being in a line. It's not simply that I'm impatient. It goes beyond that. And I've always been this way. I do not like crowds. Yet, I'm good at speaking to crowds. So there's some irony, right? The person who's saying, I don't like crowds. Here's a list of 3 reasons why. But I have social skills. I work in sales and recruiting. And I'm often speaking to groups of people and often volunteering to do that. And I guess you could say that's technically what I'm doing right now. I'm speaking to a digital crowd. But there's 3 reasons I don't feel comfortable. And now that I've studied Enneagram, I can understand why that is. I want to explain those 3 reasons, and I'm going to match it back to my own Enneagram, which is Enneagram 6, Dominant Wing 7. My subtype is sexual or 1-to-1. So we'll get into that. First, I want to tell you what the 3 reasons why I can't handle being in crowds. Here we go. The first, we'll call it incompetence. I do have a wing 5 because I am a 6. 5s do not want to ever feel incompetent. Well, that's hardwired into me as a 6, being one of my wings, like I said. It's this simple. If I'm in a line waiting for something, or if I'm part of a big crowd, the first thing I think is, am I part of the problem? Now, when I first moved to Nashville, when I graduated college, that was my first exposure to just being in traffic every day on the way to work. And I, being immature at the time, I hate this traffic, But then I realized I'm part of the problem if I'm in the traffic myself. I'm contributing to the problem. I'm part of the problem. So I think since that discovery many years ago, I thought, maybe I shouldn't be in this line because maybe I'm part of the problem. And maybe whatever this crowd is about or this line is about, maybe it's for something stupid, and I shouldn't be part of this line or this crowd of incompetence. So that's the first reason. I already feel kind of stupid for being part of a crowd. Just opt out. Just don't be part of the crowd. Because again, am I being attracted to something stupid? Am I waiting in line for something stupid? All right, there you go. Can you relate so far? All right, here's the next one. Whereas that first one was incompetence, this next one's another I word, insignificance. Now, I recently published my newest song here on my channel. I invite you to look it up. It's called Matter. And it talks about how, for me, I need to feel like I matter because that's what makes me feel alive. That's what makes me feel like that's the meaning of life, is being connected with people. And ultimately, we see that with people who are Enneagram 6. It's this idea of security and safety. Well, you can't really have that if you don't have a social network, which I'm always looking to build, and always looking back at people who were in my life 20 years ago, trying to bring them back to the present so that I always feel connected. That's ultimately so much of my desire as a human being. So you can imagine and I even mentioned this in the song, I said something to the effect of, of all the faces in this crowd, no one would even notice if I disappeared. There's some kind of line like that. And again, you can look that up, Matter. Look up original song Matter here on the channel. You can see the song. I'm very proud of it. And it's a great reflection of who I am. But that's actually, as I was coming up with the list for this video, that's kind of what inspired me to write the song. So you can imagine, I also have a line in the song saying, for a person like me, I don't need to look up at the stars and realize how insignificant I am as a person, how little I am. I don't need anybody to remind me that. I'm very well aware there's almost 8 billion people on the planet, and I'm one of them. And one of them that's alive right now, as comedian Louis C.K. has said one time, most people who've ever lived on this earth are already dead. They're buried in it. I'm very insignificant, and I know that. So put me in a crowd, I become more aware of that, and I don't like that. It's not like I'm Enneagram 4 where I need to feel special, but there's something about feeling largely disconnected when I'm one ignorable face in a crowd. Is it that I need to feel important? No, it's that I need to feel connected, and it's hard for me to feel connected when I'm part of a crowd or a line. I think that makes sense, right? This last one, now this is the obvious Enneagram 6 one. Personal safety. I am constantly, whether I'm waiting in a line, somewhere in a crowd, even at church, even at a school assembly, there's part of me that's still looking around for the shadiest character, who could be the person that would come unhinged, and I would need to rush over and tackle them to keep everybody else safe. That's how I always feel in a crowd. I don't really need to talk much more about that. That's pretty obvious. So there you go. As an Enneagram 6, I have social skills. I'm actually really good at speaking. But put me in a crowd and I feel uncomfortable because I feel like I'm possibly surrounded by incompetence. I feel insignificant, and I am constantly on the alert scanning for my physical safety, more so the people near me that I care about, like my family. So there you go. I think that explains a lot. You know, back when I was a kid, I had these same issues. I didn't like being in groups of big people. I never liked it. And back then I thought it was because I was shy. Well, everyone knows that I'm not shy now, so that clearly doesn't explain it. But this does, and it all relates back to Enneagram 6, because 6s are looking for security. And specifically, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was going to loop this back, I have the subtype of the sexual subtype. What that specifically means is that put me in a room of people, I care the least about taking care of myself. I care the least about taking care of everybody in the room. I care the most about finding one person in that room to connect with and have a meaningful conversation with and build that relationship one-on-one. So that's what when you see sexual subtype, I know it sounds awkward and I wish it was called something else. It's also called one-to-one, but most people use the word sexual. So that's ultimately what it is. So you can imagine, if I'm a person who's wired to have close one-on-one relationships with people, I'm not going to do well in a crowd. Someone with the social subtype, like my wife, for example, she's Enneagram 6, but social subtype, she does just fine in a big group of people because she's always looking how she can interact with the whole crowd. And I'm the opposite. And despite 2 Enneagram 6s married to each other, that's a major difference. She also has a dominant wing of 5, and I have a dominant wing of 7, which definitely sounds ironic, right? Like, but you're the more social one. That's not necessarily the same thing. This is an instance where a subtype can override that. So, hope you learned a lot in these 8 minutes. Your comments belong right here.